It was the morning of April 14th, my daughter's 8th birthday. The sun had barely risen, and yet she was already up, dancing around the kitchen with her messy hair, wearing a paper crown she had made herself the night before. She kept singing, "It's my birthday, it's my birthday!" And I just stood there, watching her, trying to hold on to the joy in her voice, because deep inside, I knew something she didn't. That behind all the balloons, the cake, the laughter I was planning, there was pain I was desperately hiding. You see, just a week before that day, my husband, her father, had walked out. No fights, no shouting, just silence, and a note on the table that said, "I need time to think." And there I was, on her birthday morning, alone, broke, jobless, and pretending everything was fine, because she deserved one perfect day. Just one. I remember standing by the counter, frosting the cake with trembling hands. I had borrowed flour from my neighbor, candles from a friend. Everything was patched together, but I told myself it didn't matter. All that mattered was her smile. Then she came running to me, holding a little handmade card. Her handwriting was uneven, letters floating in every direction. She said, "Mommy, I made this for you because it's your birthday too." I laughed through tears. "Why mine, sweetheart?" I asked. And she looked up at me, her eyes shining. "Because you gave me life," she said. "And you always make my birthday special, even when you're sad." My heart, it broke and healed all at once. I didn't even know she could see my sadness. I thought I had hidden it so well. As the morning went on, we decorated the living room together, balloons taped unevenly, a banner that said, "Happy Birthday, Lily," in colorful letters. Her laughter filled the air, bouncing off the walls like light. I caught myself thinking, maybe this is what strength looks like. Not smiling because life is easy, but smiling so your child doesn't see how hard it really is. When her friends arrived, I stood by the kitchen door, watching them run around with cupcakes and ribbons. It looked perfect. But every time I glanced at the empty chair at the end of the table, I felt the ache of what was missing. Her daddy's chair. Still, I smiled. I sang. I cut the cake with her. And when she blew out the candles, she whispered something I couldn't hear. I leaned closer and asked, "What did you wish for, honey?" She giggled, covering her mouth. "It's a secret," she said. "Wishes don't come true if you say them out loud." I smiled back, but inside I prayed her wish was for something simple, like more birthdays, more laughter, maybe even for her daddy to come home. That afternoon, after the party ended, I took her out for a walk. Just the two of us, hand in hand. The streets were quiet, except for the sound of cars in the distance and her little footsteps skipping beside mine. We passed by a small park, the same one where her dad used to push her on the swings. She stopped for a moment, staring at it. And then she said something I'll never forget. "Mommy, I think people go away when they forget to smile." I froze. How did she know? I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that people don't leave because of smiles. But my voice wouldn't come out. So I just held her hand tighter and whispered, "Then we'll never forget to smile, okay?" She nodded, swinging our hands together as we walked. That night, as I tucked her into bed, she hugged me and said, "Mommy, today was the best day ever." And for the first time in weeks, I believed her. I believed that maybe, just maybe, I was doing something right. But what I didn't know then was that this birthday, her 8th birthday, would be the day that changed everything for both of us. Not because of what happened to us, but because of what she did next. That is something I'll never forget.
The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The balloons from the party were still hanging by threads, half deflated, quietly moving with the air from the window fan. The living room smelled of cake and laughter, the kind of sweetness that lingers long after everyone's gone. I stood there for a while, cleaning up the paper plates and ribbons, when I noticed something missing. Her favorite teddy bear. It was the one she'd carried since she was 3, the one she called Mr. Brownie. At first, I thought it had rolled under the couch, but after searching every corner, I realized it was gone. Just gone. When she woke up, I asked her gently, "Sweetheart, where's Mr. Brownie?" She looked at me, calm and innocent, and said, "Oh, I gave him away." I blinked, confused. "You what?" She smiled, brushing her messy hair from her face. "I gave him to the girl in the park," she said. "Remember, the one sitting on the bench with no shoes?" I felt my throat tighten. I remembered. Yesterday, on our walk, we had passed a homeless mother and daughter sitting near the swings. I had avoided looking too long, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of fear. But my little girl, she noticed everything. "She looked cold," she said softly, "and she didn't have any toys. So I told her she could keep Mr. Brownie, because everyone deserves to smile on their birthday, right?" Her words hit me like a quiet storm. I stood there, speechless, watching my 8-year-old teach me a lesson I'd forgotten long ago. All this time, I was so focused on what I couldn't give her, the party, the presents, the perfect home. And yet, she had given away the one thing she loved most, without hesitation. I sat beside her, holding her tiny hand. "Lily," I whispered, "you didn't have to do that. Mr. Brownie was your favorite." She shrugged. "I have you, Mommy," she said. "That's my favorite thing." I couldn't hold it in anymore. Tears rolled down my face, not from sadness this time, but from something deeper. Pride, gratitude, love. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "You just gave me the best gift I could ever ask for." The rest of the day passed quietly. I made her pancakes shaped like hearts, and she drew pictures of her and me under a big rainbow with a teddy bear flying away on a balloon. When I asked what it meant, she said, "It means love never really leaves. It just finds new homes." That line, it stayed with me. Because deep inside, I realized maybe that's what her father was doing too, trying to find his way back to himself. And maybe, someday, he'd find his way back to us. Later that evening, I went back to the park. The sun was setting, gold and orange spilling across the playground. And there, under the same swing, I saw the little girl. She was clutching Mr. Brownie tight against her chest, smiling. I wanted to say something, maybe introduce myself, maybe thank her for giving my daughter meaning, but I didn't. Instead, I just stood there, watching her smile, and whispered quietly, "Thank you, Lily." On the walk home, the world felt lighter somehow. The weight on my chest, the fear, the worry, it didn't vanish, but it became something I could carry. When I got home, Lily was sitting by the window, drawing again. She looked up and said, "Did she like him, Mommy?" I nodded. She loved him. And she smiled, that small, content smile that children have when they know they did something right. That night, after she fell asleep, I went to my room and opened my old journal. It had been months since I'd written anything. But this time, I picked up the pen and wrote, "Today, my daughter taught me the meaning of giving, not with money, but with heart." As I wrote, I realized something else. We often think our children need to learn from us, but sometimes it's us, the parents, who need to learn from them. Because love isn't measured by what we keep, it's measured by what we give, especially when we don't have much left to give. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in weeks, not because my problems were gone, but because my heart was full again. And that's when I understood. The real tragedy wasn't what I lost. It was how close I came to forgetting what truly mattered. Little did I know. That lesson, the one my daughter gave me on her 8th birthday, would shape the rest of my life. Every decision, every dream, every quiet moment after that day was built on that one truth. That love, pure, selfless, innocent, is the greatest strength we'll ever have.
It's been 15 years since that birthday. And still, every April 14th, I wake up before the sun rises, just like I did that morning when my little girl turned 8. The house is quieter now. No balloons, no cake, no sound of tiny feet running through the hallway, just the echo of memories and the smell of pancakes that I still make out of habit. Heart-shaped, of course, because some traditions, they never fade. Lily is all grown up now. She's studying social work, says she wants to help kids who don't have homes. And every time I see her pack her lunch and rush out the door, I see the same little girl who once gave away her favorite teddy bear without a second thought. That day changed her, but it changed me even more. Before that, I used to think strength was about surviving, about keeping it all together, no matter what. But that birthday taught me something different. It taught me that strength can also mean letting go. Letting go of fear, of control, of the idea that everything has to be perfect. Because sometimes the most beautiful things in life happen when you stop trying to make them perfect and just let them be real. I still remember the look on her face when she gave that toy away. No hesitation, no sadness, just kindness. And I think that's the moment I truly saw her, not as my little girl, but as a reflection of everything I had forgotten to be. I started changing after that day. Slowly, quietly, but surely. I found another job. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. I started writing again, journaling the way I used to before life got heavy. And most importantly, I stopped pretending everything was okay. I allowed myself to cry, to feel, to heal. And you know what?
life didn't magically get easier. Bills still came, loneliness still crept in at night, but somehow it didn't scare me anymore, because I had learned that even in pain, there can be purpose. Sometimes I still think about that little girl in the park. I wonder where she is now, if she still has Mr. Brownie, if she ever knew what her smile did for us that day. Maybe she doesn't remember, but that's okay, because her small moment of happiness became the foundation of everything my daughter grew up to believe in. Every year, Lily and I still visit that same park. We sit on the same bench, watching children play. She always brings a small wrapped gift, a book, a doll, sometimes a teddy bear, and leaves it there for someone who might need it. The first time she did that, I asked her why. She smiled with the same softness she had when she was 8 and said, "Because love never really leaves, Mom. It just finds new homes." And I realized she was still teaching me, after all these years. Now, when people ask me what motherhood feels like, I tell them it's not just about raising a child, it's about being raised by them too. Because children see the world the way we've forgotten how to see it, with hope that's pure, love that's simple, and forgiveness that's endless. There are still days I struggle, days when I miss the version of life I thought I would have, a perfect family, an easy path, a happy ending. But then I look at Lily, at the woman she's becoming, and I realize that the ending I got is even better than the one I wanted, because it's real, raw, unfiltered, built from the cracks we once thought would break us. Last year, on her 23rd birthday, she gave me a small box. Inside was a tiny, worn-out teddy bear keychain, the same color as Mr. Brownie. She said, "So you'll always remember how far we've come." And I couldn't stop crying. Not because I was sad, but because I finally understood. We hadn't lost anything. We'd simply learned how to love differently. That night, as I looked out the window, I whispered a quiet prayer. Not for more birthdays, not for success, not even for comfort, but for gratitude. Because even through all the storms, we found our light again. And maybe that's what life really is. Not a straight road, but a series of moments that teach us how to love better, how to give freely, and how to hold on even when everything around us is falling apart. So yes, I'll never forget that birthday. Not because of the party or the cake or the candles, but because of what it taught me. That sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change the entire direction of a life. And every year, when I light those 8 candles again, not for a child anymore, but for the memory of that little girl, I whisper the same thing she once did. Everyone deserves to smile on their birthday. And then I smile too. Because after all these years, I finally understand. That was her gift to me all along.